Good morning, everybody. My name is Jody. My husband David John and I have a small farm in the panhandle of North Idaho. These are our stories and adventures, so welcome to Moose Flats Farm. And today we are out in the, I call it the pepper hoop house, and gonna roll some time lapse of getting this cleaned up. And now that it's all cleaned up and kind of leveled out the soil, it's time to plant some cool weather stuff in here. So we're going to be planting beets, radishes, carrots, lettuce, what else? Oh, some spinach and Swiss chard. I'm going to show you the different ways to get all this stuff planted. And we're going to be planting the peas. Even though I do have the pea weevil, last year I was able to have some peas in here and they weren't affected. So I'm just doing a test run. And another good thing about planting peas in these beds is once it's time for them to be removed and the peppers get planted in here, I'll just cut them off and leave the roots, because they get these little nodules on their roots, which is nitrogen, which would be a slow release nitrogen, which would be great for the peppers. So let's kind of lay this out on what we're going to plant where. So I'm going to be doing some of the peas in the 5-gallon buckets because I do have the green trellis once they're tall enough, I can untie to hang down for them. And the rest of them, I'm just going to plant along the edge of the beds themselves. And they'll just cascade over, will be out of the way of the stuff growing in the back. So I have gone through and soaked my peas overnight. I just have them in a damp paper towel. There'll be about 5 peas per each of these 5-gallon buckets, and they get planted about 1.5 inches deep. And I'm just going to use this stick to make my holes. I should show you guys these because I actually soaked these a couple nights ago and put them on the paper towel and brought them out here, and trying not to spill them because I have quite a few. And let's see, and as you can see, they're germinating, so definitely need to get these in the ground. So we'll have to be extra careful when we backfill the soil around them, not to break off the starts. And then we'll just go along the edge of the beds themselves and plant them and move on. So the next thing we're gonna plant is, I got these seed tapes. I've got both the carrot, the scarlet Nanzette, and beet, what is this, the Detroit dark red beet, and they are on water soluble tape and already spaced, so we won't have to worry about thinning them or anything. I've tried making these before at home. It really didn't turn out, but hopefully these work. So let's get these guys, and they're both planted about 1/2 inch deep, so you'll just make a trough and we'll lay the tape out, and then once we get everything planted, we'll go back through and cover and water everything in, just so we know what we have where, so we don't plant stuff where we already have stuff planted. So let's open one of these, and I am going to do a row of carrots in the back and then a row of the beets in the front. I haven't covered the pea holes yet, just so I know where they're at exactly. Okay, and this is a 15 feet of the seed tape. It's going to be easier to do without gloves on at this point. And it comes where you do separate them into the 2 strips. And it's basically looks like really lightweight tissue paper, and you've got your beets evenly spaced. So let's get a trough dug and get these guys planted. There gets that round of beets done. Now I'm going to dig a trough and do the carrots right in the middle. So actually I'm going to have to cover these beets so I can get to the carrots. Okay, the carrots are going to be planted the same as the beets, about ½ an inch down, which I thought you didn't plant carrots that deep, but all the packages say ½ an inch down. So in this bed here, and the short one there, and then the short one on this side, and then this long one, we will have about 200 beets and about 1,000 carrots in those 2 beds, or quote unquote 4 beds. So let's, and I did save the 3 on the end. We're gonna do our lettuce and Swiss chard and our radishes down at that end. So in this bed here, as you saw in the time lapse, I pulled the onions out and replanted the chive starts on each end of those rows. And as cool as it was to see these guys growing, they won't bulb up any more than what they are. They would just go straight to flower. So I'll chuck them behind the hoop house here where I've kind of got a compost area going, and if they continue to grow, they grow, and if they don't, they'll just break down, and eventually I'll be able to use that stuff back there to re-compost this bed. But this bed right here, we are going to be planting all of our different kind of beets, and they are also planted at about a ½ inch deep. So I'm going to go through and make 2 troughs just like I did with the beets and the carrots, and we'll get all of our radishes planted. And then depending on the radish itself, one package is saying 1/4 inch and all the rest are saying ½ inch. Let's see what the crispy crunch one, ½ inch. So kind of do it kind of a little bit of both. So what do we have? So I have 8 basic different types of radishes I'm going to be planting. We're going to be doing the radish watermelon, the sparkler white tip, the cherry bell, the crimson giant, the French breakfast, sparkler white tip, early scarlet globe, and crispy crunch. So because I'm just going to be doing 2 rows, I am just going to I've already got one started. Do I have that one? Yeah. And just kind of do a mix of all of them in here, just so we just get a random mix when we pull them out. And it's like this package here is already a mix of the radish seeds, so we'll see where this goes and mix up another bag. So I found another one that's a mix of all, so I'll just use that. So in the little bed at the end of the hoop house, we're going to do a row of the pak choi and a row of the Swiss chard. So we'll do the pak choi in front and the Swiss chard in the back. And I'm bound determined one of these years to get pak choi to really grow like it should. Because David John loves making soup with this stuff. And then the type of Swiss chard we're going to be doing is the heirloom mixed colors. So the Swiss chard is about 3/4 inch deep, and the pak choi is about 1/4 inch deep. So we'll start with the Swiss chard in the back. And the Swiss Swiss chard seeds. Boy, say that one 5 times fast. They are a little older, so I am going to be planting them a little on the heavy side, because then that will guarantee every single one of them will germinate. And I'm not really worried about packing the soil down around the seeds, because I am going to be going through and watering this thoroughly after I get everything planted, and that will get the air washed away from around the root or around the seeds themselves. Okay, that gives me a nice narrow trough for the pak choi. That looks good for that bed. Now we're going to plant the last one, and that is going to be our lettuce and spinach. So I am going to go through and do a mix bag on the lettuce and spinach, and they are, oh, I really can't. Okay, we're going to plant the spinach in the back because that's got to be planted a 1/2 inch deep. And the lettuce is at a 1/4 inch deep, so we'll, and the spinach that I've got, I've only got the, oh no, I do have 2 different types. So I've got a partial bag of, I'm not sure how to pronounce that spinach. And then I've got the Bloomsdale Long Standing. So those are the spinaches we're going to plant. We're going to plant them in the back. And then I just got little tiny bits of just random, mostly just like leaf lettuce. Like I've got salad bowl, Grand Rapids leaf, Little Gem, black-seeded Simpson, and then I do have a head lettuce. So I think I'll plant some of the head lettuce over at the one end, and then I'll just do a mix of all the other leaf lettuces for the rest of the row. But let's start on our spinach. So I just mixed the 2 together. So like I said, I'm going to do the bib lettuce down towards the middle of the hoop house. Okay, there I've got my mix of leaf lettuces. So I'm gonna go through, get my seeds collected up, get this watered in, and take you out and show you what new garden bed Dave John just broke ground on. Well, actually, before we go out and see what David John's been up to, I thought I would cover the basics of these raised beds that we have here in the hoop house. They are done in the Hugel style of raised bed gardening, just like the ones out in our big garden. So they are full of wood to about this level, and then we've put down composted soil. And this really doesn't have any wood shavings mixed in it yet like the other beds, but so the premise of it is, as the wood down here is decomposing, it brings in natural life, which is beneficial to the beds themselves. In the early spring, because the wood is decomposing, it does warm the soil up faster than if it's just straight in the ground. Plus, it makes filling, and I can't remember how long these beds are, because they are actually two really long beds that are the whole length of the hoop house, and then the short one that just spans the middle. So filling it up with wood, and you want to make sure it's not wood that is going to regrow once it starts getting water, like willow would not be a good choice. So these have got pine and I think some birch and whatever scrap wood we had around to fill them up. And that just, makes it way more cost effective for filling deep garden beds like this that are at a height that's nice to be working at. So let's go check on David John. And he sounds like he's washing off the rototiller, so kind of on our way, I'll show you some of the stuff that is growing that we planted last year. So this bed outside of the greenhouse that we planted with the garlic and the horseradish is taken off absolutely wonderfully. Little horseradish. I haven't seen anything yet on the asparagus, but I have to get in there and get those beds cleaned up. But the garlic in this bed is starting to come up, and same in this one. Not really sure what he's blowing something out. But it's amazing, just in a couple of days of getting this rake and a little bit of Mother Nature rain, it's starting to really green up. But over here, just past the second little orchard by the turkey and goose pen, he's started getting this tilled and worked up, because we are going to be doing 4 rows of potatoes, and this is where my blackberry plants are going to get planted. And the stumps that we had along the fence here, in that fence in the turkey pen. Because all Junior does besides fight with Dad is pace up and down that fence. Guys, hush. And he's just worn a bunch of his feathers off his stomach, so I'm like, yeah, let's just put the logs in there. But in the one little flower bed that we planted irises in last fall, summer, starting to get some irises popping. Don't see any of the columbine seed that I put down. And the cats like to dig in the shavings in this bed for some reason. But hopefully we'll get some columbine growing. Oh, and the tomatoes. I got to show you the tomatoes. Well, guys, I'm going to show you the tomatoes, and I am very impressed on the germination that I got, even on the home-saved tomatoes. So, tells you you can save tomato seeds. You don't have to buy them from the store. So, up here we've got the black Krim and the Hungarian heart. The little cherry tomatoes, beefsteaks, and granny cantrells. And then all my paste tomatoes. And then over here, got the Romas and all my early girls. The medium-sized saladette tomato varieties. And then those ones right in front are the Kellogg's Breakfast. Almost every single one of those seeds germinated. And then behind them is the Brandywines. But the peppers are looking really good. Keep moving around so they all get different types of lighting on them. I have, because the germination table is done for now, move these guys over here. So you got the stevia back here and the rosemary and some of the peppers. So this is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you have a good day and a good week, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.